calling all small biz not just to survive, but to thrive. And we're doing the call-in at week daily, 11:11 Eastern Standard Time. I am Brent Kobayashi, president of Kobayashi Zeitgeist, a marketing agency here in Toronto, Canada. And with me is Mr. Arthur Tutt, a marketing specialist at the KZ. Hello, Arthur.
Happy Tuesday morning, Brent.
Happy Tuesday morning. Okay, so I nailed the important part. I messed your name up, but I nailed the important part, which is the important part to nail, Mr. Richard Gowder. I think it's actually that. Should have checked ahead of time. I know it's not Gooday. I'm pretty certain it's Gowder. If it's wrong, we're going to have to do that intro one more time.
Pretty sure he doesn't like us anymore.
He may not like us anymore. He's actually amazing. So if anybody wants an amazing web company other than us, go check him out. He's up north. He's an awesome guy. So, all right. For those who are watching, of course, share the show now. Tell your peeps why you're tuning into the show and why you think it's amazing. Click subscribe or notify yourself. Click the notify button so that you never miss this show, because you never want to miss this show, because this show is amazing. So, what amazing things are we going to get into today, Arthur?
So we did switch up things a little bit. So today is we're going to be getting back to Content Day.
Yes, Content Day is normally Thursdays, but this week Thursdays are Kill the Guru days because Fridays are Expert Day. It's just all over. It's not all over the place. It's well planned out. It's just different.
And on Friday, we've got Andrew Pone coming back.
Yes. So good. Very good. Very excited about that one. He's so good. All right. So where are we going today?
So today we're getting back to talking about videos, how to put together videos, and what are some basic, simple steps, best practices to make a good video for your Facebook ads. Or not necessarily Facebook ads, but we'll use that as an example. For
sure. So I think our focus for today is going to be around the content outline. And so we're going to go through how you create that outline of what this video is going to be about, so that you can have a guideline about what you're doing and what you're going to talk about. Super important. All right.
Should we jump into it?
Yeah, let's jump into it.
Well, I think the first good point is to remember, like, when you're recording a video, I mean, in this case, like, you are the director, you are the producer, you are the writer, like you are running your own show here, which in some ways could be really, really exciting. Could also perhaps be a little bit intimidating. But I think it is really cool. And we were talking, I mean, in the pre-show about the amazing times that we live in, and the fact that we have this ability where we can just run our own show.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like, literally, you and I sitting here with cheap equipment can do what costs.
Brent, I don't know what you're talking about. Have you seen this microphone?
This audiophile microphone that you got, I love it. No, but literally, for under $1,000 and for free thereafter, except for our time, we can reach millions. That's quite possible.
Unlimited.
You can reach
the world.
Audience. It is almost unlimited now. It's not quite the entire world yet, but it is close to it. So yeah.
And so as you're running your own show and starting to putting together your video ideas, what we want to stress here is think of, because there can be a lot of pieces and it can get kind of complicated, but to keep it simple, just focus on what is the main thing that you want people to actually do, right? So if you have a free event, or you have a free webinar, or you've got a PDF, or you've got a book that you're selling, or a product, or a widget, or your service, or just to generally share information and let people know, what you know about certain topics, like if you're a thought leader in a certain industry, to inform people, what is it that you're actually trying to accomplish, and define that, preferably as a single end goal, or at least a single end goal for each video.
Yeah, I mean, you always start at the end. Always. whenever you're going to create something, especially for business purposes, you need to be clear on what your end is. And in a macro, like what's the big scale end? Like what am I actually trying to accomplish as a business? That's really important to know. And then an end in what is this particular video trying to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it might not fit direct. Like it can be buy my thing. That could be the end goal. Often will be harder depending on your sales cycle, but it also can be the right end goal.
Mm-hmm. And I think an important point too is sometimes people think when they get on video that they need to be entertaining. And I think like if we look at our show right here, like I think our show is entertaining. I find it entertaining. Mm-hmm. Maybe other people don't. I don't know. But we don't do it to be entertaining. We enjoy what we do, and in that process, we are entertaining. But that's not our goal.
Right. So it's my goal.
It's all we want. It's all we want. Just be entertaining.
That's it. Yeah, I know. I'm just practicing for my stand-up career. Yeah. So, right. A goal is not the process by which you get there. The goal, the methodology by what you get there can be entertainment, education, or something else like that. But it all depends on what your goal is. If your goal is, like, for instance, whenever you see that heartwarming Bell commercial or the entertaining Oreos commercial, their goal isn't, I just want to entertain you and I just want to make your heart feel wonderful. The goal is, what is their business objective? And then what's the video objective, which could be awareness. It could be positioning. It could be letting you know what our values and our brand is. It could be a number of different things. But understand exactly what it is that you're doing. And then your outline will start to write itself.
So start with the main end goal in mind of what you want to accomplish.
Yeah. So, right. Let me just go over that. It could be buy my thing. That's okay in certain circumstance. It could be think that I'm awesome, right? Thought leadership, right? Because this is something where expertise is valued in my marketplace. So therefore, there's an idea that if I can show thought leadership, if I can show that I know what I'm doing, there'll be a higher degree of trust when you're buying my thing. So lawyers, marketing agencies, accountants, all of those things, you kind of want to have a level of trust that their expertise is what you're purchasing rather than, say, a product. It could be just understand that you're in the area, either for a geolocation-based business, like I am here. Pay attention to me. Actually, we even went to understanding that we're in the area when advertising became cheap, right? It's a questionable goal, but it is. It could be convert to subscribers for a longer term goal, just so you understand that that's heading in the business direction that you want. So there's some goal towards that video. You can also think of it as your call to action. Right? What is the call to action in this video going to be?
Mm-hmm. And I think it's very important on that point as well to clarify that every video should just have a single call to action to direct people to.
Yeah, I mean,
for the most part.
Let's put it this way: every rule that we're going to say can be broken, but start with that. Yeah. To clarify this, and then start playing with other things. So it is possible to have many calls to action. Mm. And, listen, there is an amazing website that sells insurance in the UK. It's a famous one. Hopefully we can find it and put it in the comments, perhaps after the show. And it is ridiculous. It's loaded with flashing stuff and all this. Like, it's the worst website in the world, and it's so famously the worst website in the world. It breaks every single rule out there. So there's a video in the future, and maybe it's already been done, which has like 1,000 calls to action, and it's so ridiculously packed with calls to action that it's actually effective. So you can when you're in marketing, that's the fun thing I love about marketing. You flow in opposite thought processes. For now, think one call to action.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, you need to know and understand the rules before you can break the rules.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's okay to break the rules as long as you know that you are intentionally breaking the rules and that you know what you're doing.
I don't know. Yeah, I think start with the rules, learn the game and all that type of stuff. But the funny thing about this internet world is it's so huge. You could go online, you could break all the rules accidentally on your first pass and have a home run. It is possible. Start with the rules so that you understand that you get into the game, you get comfortable with it, and then start playing and breaking the rules. I think it's a good process, but I'll be honest with you, Arthur. Everything is yes, and then there's always a small no at the very least, especially when we're talking about rules. Okay, so let's get into, so that's your point number one, like start at the end with your goal in mind when you're figuring out your outline. Different audiences might require different incentives. So be clear with your audience, like be super clear when you're talking to your audience on who your audience are and talk like directly to that specific audience.
And this is actually a really good point because sometimes the audience isn't intuitively obvious. Right. And I think let's use Patricia here as an example, right? So her students are the kids that come to take her class, right? So she teaches kids, I think she said 3 to 8 year old kids kind of thing, right?
3 to 12, yeah.
3 to 12, right? But her audience, when she's actually making a video, is not for the kids necessarily, although it could be, but specifically to the parents who would then be signing up the kids.
Yeah, sure. So there's a kid strategy and there's a parent strategy. Those are two different audiences. And in our opinion, the parent strategy is the first one to start with. Like a longer term strategy might be the kids one. And that might, for some, that might be go for that one first. But for us, I think she can be closer to the sale because of what she's offering. So this part, so now that you've sort of figured out you're starting at the end, is now start finding out what's the incentive for this ad for this audience member, right? What's the benefit that you're bringing to them? How will this actually enhance their life? Mm-hmm. This is where you can get into, will this entertain or educate? Like, how will it make their life better? Both what you're offering in general, but also what is this ad piece going to give to them that's compelling, that allows them to say, oh, I'm interested. And also, what is the incentive that you're giving them, the action that they're going to take, going to get? And you want to be clear on what that happens to be. Patricia, we thought one of the incentives was you get your kids off your hands for a couple hours, and bonus, they get to learn, right? So you're looking at seeing it. Can I get into their headspace, right? So imagine the journey that this person is taking from wherever they are. It could be, they just started a business. They've been in business for a little while. They're, not sure if I should retire yet. Wherever they are in their journey, imagine where they are and the different steps that they're going to be taking along, and when they will be your customer along that journey, that customer journey through whatever it is, starting to end. And what would you want to hear if you were them? So get out of your head, stop trying to sell and convince. You should buy from me. Actually think, if I were them, what would attract me to what I'm offering? And the interesting thing is that can actually shift your perspective on actually even what you're offering, let alone allow you to create a good outline of what content that I want to have in this.
Again, I think Patricia is just a fabulous example here, right? Because we've got right now under lockdown, parents stuck at home. They've got their kids at home all day with their kids. I don't know what that's like, so I'm not going to pretend. But then Patricia comes along and says, hey, parents, would you like to dump your kids with me for an hour so I can entertain them and teach them and take care of them, and you can relax and enjoy yourself for a little bit?
Mm-hmm. So imagine, and that's where you're putting yourself into that person. So what's going on there? What's happening with them? Are they desperate for ideas? Have they run out of ideas? Are they kind of despairing that my kids are all on screen all the time, so therefore they're not being as active as they were before? I'm not, whatever it is, start thinking in their terms. How do I make this easy for them? So you're just imagining who and what they are. You might even have a few different personas. Just imagine who and what they are and where they're at. You can even go so far as imagining they're sitting there eating their dinner and the kids are just going completely squirrely because they're bored, because you've been working all day long and ignoring them. And when you're at home and you're ignoring them, it just going bananas, right? So you want to understand their mindset, because that's where some ideas will come out for creating this outline and eventually script. All right. Lastly, you want to structure it.
Just to structure your main arguments.
Yeah. So, make a list of your important points, your kind of key messages, create a hierarchy, rank them
like a hierarchy of needs.
Yeah, an hierarchy of needs, like what's most important for you to communicate and what's least important for you to communicate. And then typically you put the most important point first, right? So probably first. Now, I say probably most important first because kind of at the beginning, you want to catch the person's attention and kind of really solidify what this is about and if is this for them or not for them. So you might play around with it a little bit. So your most important point might come later, but the most important point for that person that's flipping through the thing is this something I'm interested in, and is it for me? So I guess when I say most important point first, again, think in terms of the person that's flipping, going to come across this ad. Later for video, you can't, and if you have an audience, you can spend more time getting to the point because they are all, like right now we have some
people that they love you.
Yeah. Right now there's some people that are knowing and watching us, and they will sit around for 10, 11 minutes at the beginning as we chat about, the Spanish flu and trash pandas, because that's okay. We don't have to necessarily get to the point right away as we get rolling on this show. But for what we're talking about, it's sort of like a Facebook ad. You kind of want to get to the point right away. And so write this in sort of short, simple sentences, play with, with the format a little bit. And then lastly, before lastly,
second lastly,
you can ask questions. So one of the things you can say, hey, are you struggling with, right? So you can use those kinds of things. Is this you? If it is, come join me. One of the things that you did, in the example we're talking about yesterday is something along the lines of, hey, are you a lawyer who's looking to up your game? And then that's the answer. Person answers, yes. Okay, this might be interesting for me. The person answers, no, the ad is not for me, right? Kind of really at the beginning. And then lastly, with all of this stuff, remember to breathe. Yeah.
I feel like I was just like holding it in there.
Were you? And that is it for today's show.
Should we do just a quick wrap up here of all these points, just to put it in a nice little bow tie? So the first part first point was start with the end in mind. What is it that you actually want people to do? What's the action that you want people to take? Secondly, who is the audience? Who is it specifically that you're speaking to? And third point, bring your points, your questions, your arguments as cohesively together as you can, starting with the most important thing first. Ideally, especially if you're still just starting out and figuring it out, I would say keep it under 30 seconds if you can, just to keep it simple. And then just remember to relax, breathe. And it's okay if it doesn't work out the first time, because it never works out the first time.
I love your bow tie summary. That is so, bow tie it all together. That is so good. And one last thing is, remember, always, always, always please think, what is your audience thinking? Be them. Imagine you're them. And then flow it from there. All right, breathe and go into the outro.
You've tuned in to COVID Marketing with Brent Kobayashi and Arthur Tutt, the show to support small business not just to survive, but to thrive.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for joining us one more time on this beautiful May 26, 2020. So tomorrow's show, we're going to continue to explore the topic of attribution. Arthur will be taking... has that kind of feel to it. Attribution. Arthur, you'll be taking us through the world of UTMs.
Urchin tracking something.
Yeah, I know. It's like and I would probably guess, Arthur, you find them exciting.
Oh, I get very excited about nerdy stuff.
Yeah. This is how you start figuring out what your return on investment is. When you're going across channels, when you're going across campaigns, this is when you start understanding things. Is what you're doing working? So that's what we're going to get into tomorrow. That's it. That's our show.